célebre, famoso, muy bien amparado por la crítica y por todo lo que es su agenda, el Guggenheim de New York, nos presenta nada menos que a Kandinsky. Un Kandinsky diferente, un Kandinsky totalizado, porque el conjunto de la obra es realmente muy importante. Pinturas, acuarelas, silografías extraídas de una gran colección, el viaje de un artista que no dejará atrás precedentes, representación de su propio trabajo por completo, incluso cuando explora el potencial de las formas abstractas. Es un iniciador.
We have to remember how radical abstraction was in the 1910s. It had existed long before Kandinsky's European context in other cultures, but for those audiences that were first encountering his paintings, this was really different. This was really new. Vasily Kandinsky is one of the artists that's represented in the greatest depth in the Guggenheim's collection, and I've had the great pleasure of spending a lot of time with these paintings and works on paper and woodcuts in our holdings.
Walk me through what the art making process was like.
So we have Blue Mountain from 1908-09 and then Pastoral from 1911. And at this moment, Kandinsky is moving out of the studio. Now, these works are so large, he was probably working at an easel in his studio, but he was more and more frequently painting out of doors. And, you know, in the early 1900s in Germany, where he was living at the time, there was this return to the land movement with which he was engaged. He and the artist Gabriel Munter were living oftentimes less so in Munich and more often in the Bavarian countryside. So there, you know, Kandinsky is working in his kitchen garden, he's painting out of doors, he was an avid cyclist. And then perhaps he's coming back into a studio for works such as this. You know, still so much tied to the land and this expressionistic use of color. So in some ways it's less about the Blue Mountain and the, you know, the trees, the foliage, and more about that feeling that those forms are evoking. Abstraction was a journey for Kandinsky as well. Kandinsky cites two really transformative experiences. He sees an exhibition in Moscow in which he saw paintings by Claude Monet, specifically his haystack paintings. The study of light and color that really transfixes Kandinsky. He also sees a Wagner opera, Lohengrin, and this starts him thinking about the ways music can elicit these different emotional responses in its viewer, and how could that be translated into painting. And it's really not until around 1913 that he makes the paintings that he calls his first truly non-objective paintings. This motif we're seeing in the center here that's kind of represented with this more calligraphic form, that is interpreted as his imagery for St. George, this Christian martyr who Kandinsky would take up again and again, and he's about to spear the serpent or dragon in that lower corner. The horse and rider motif he would return to as the symbol of transformation, of transcendence, of something that would lift us all up. 10 years later, the circle replaced the horse and rider and became that link to the cosmos, to balance, equilibrium, to kind of that utopian realm. His language is certainly evolving. His imagery is getting a little looser at this last moment, more biomorphic, more playful.
I have to imagine that for Kandinsky, this would have been such a fantastic viewing experience because he was encouraging this kind of multi-sensory reaction. You are, in a sense, in the exhibition, right? You are immersed. You're moving through space. You're looking all around. You're seeing, you know, peaks of color and form. What do you hear when you see this work of art? How are all of your senses kind of activated.